All right, we are on to week 12 of the NFL. Man, I know how to do it on a Saturday night. Hanging out here in Grafton, Massachusetts, and bringing you some week 12 lineup advice. And want you guys to all comment on the right-hand side. Follow me on Twitter at the Radio Mike. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, first and foremost. And you're safe. I know they were telling people not to travel. So if you traveled, hope you were safe. I do want to give a big shout out to the people at 14 Personnel. I'm writing for those guys. Give them a follow if I can talk, at 14P_pod, 14personnel.com. There's some great DFS articles. There are some great season-long articles. Happy to be part of that team and bringing you great content in the world of DFS in fantasy football. I mean, we do it all over there, and we're excited. It's a startup, and we're hoping to make this big, and I'm glad to be part of it. Glad that they would have me. I played light on Thanksgiving, but I wanted to show you, this is a site I really like, is Super Drafts, and I know I've talked about this before to you, and some basic things to do. Enter free contest. Well, I don't want to enter the free contest. Doesn't pay anything. Okay. All right. Free. It's free. Okay? On Thanksgiving, I entered a free tournament. A one-game showdown on Superflex. I made my lineup. I'll be honest with you guys. I made my lineup at about 4. Free entry. I won it. I took it down. 844 people. I was number... How did someone have 33 points, by the way? Christ. That is a crappy lineup. But I took this bad boy down. $20. I got $20 for making a lineup a half hour before. Love the Super Draft. Super Draft is great. So in their showdowns, you have a championship. Players are attached by multipliers, not salary. There's no salary cap. So this is great. So kickers are worth a lot in this because they always have a high multiplier. Look at Dustin Hopkins, 2.45. So basically the number of fantasy points, he had 11 times 2.45, 26.95. I mean, he was a better play than, look, Gallup. I edged this guy out basically because I had Hopkins. I went 3-2, and he went McLaurin, and I went Hopkins. And a different captain. This captain killed it better than mine. But I love Super Draft. So I just want to show this quickly for people. And I've been successful. I'm actually up, I think, $60 on Super Draft. For some reason, I've been okay on Super Draft. Go figure. Free entry tomorrow. Yeah, there'll be a lot, but it's free, and hey, maybe you take it down and win $50. So they don't have a captain spotter. This is just a regular game, and then you obviously see the players that are expected to have a lot of points have a low multiplier. So who would be a good play in this tomorrow? Quarterback. Tom Brady would be pretty good. 1.35. I think Carr's really good. Cam Newton. Bridgewater. All right, so check out Super Draft. They do the showdowns. They do season longs. They do everything's a multiplier. They do have salary cap games. I don't play those. All right, Week 12 is becoming ridiculous. The NFL apparently is just going to plow through COVID, and they apparently don't care. I mean, it's getting ridiculous as we speak here. I'm going to bring up my tweet deck, see my Twitter, and I feel like, look at this. Every time I go on here, I see more things about COVID. Adam Schefter, Ravens reserve grew to 18 players. The Broncos have no quarterbacks because of COVID, but they're just going to continue to play regardless. So it seems like they've got different rules than everybody in the country, and it's very interesting. So I was excited for this Baltimore-Pittsburgh game on Thanksgiving night. Did not happen. And I think we have it on Tuesday. All right, so let's kind of talk cash games here. I think the slate has got potential of 5 or 6 games with 50-plus points. I said this in the article I wrote in. This Arizona-New England game, to me, I was saying earlier in the week that I thought it was a sneaky shootout game, but I don't think it is anymore. I use a couple of rules when I build lineups. I like Vegas implied totals, but I also like the fact that you take what happens in real life. This is a must game for Arizona. They're 6-4. They lose this, they're the 7th seed right now. They really need to win, or they're flirting with missing the playoffs. Now, the team behind them is the Bears, who, I don't love the Bears, but still. Now, for the Patriots, if they lose, their season's over. I like those kind of games. And we're in that part of the season now where a lot of that's going to happen. And I think you have to take that into account. We love to go with numbers, and I think numbers are great. But there's a lot of that back against the wall. And then there's the flip side of that. A Giants-Cincy game where these teams don't have anything to play for. You could see, shootouts in those. I forgot about Burrow being out tomorrow. So Ryan Finley. Oh, they're going to start Brian Allen. Look at that. $4,800. He might be a cash game guy to throw in. But, building cash games, you want solid running backs. If we could start there, I think that's where you always kind of build. This is where you don't want to miss. Brian Hill is going to be chalky. He's going to fill in for Gurley. I don't see anything wrong with putting him in your flex. I like to play 3 running backs in cash games. Look at this. The Saints are scheduled to land in Denver at 7:20 tonight, and we'll learn about preparing to face the Broncos. So who knows? That game might get postponed. So I think Hill is a good, I think he's a fade in tournaments, but in cash games, you play the chalk. I've seen some sites saying not to play Dalvin Cook. I just think you have to in cash games to me. I think that's a lock. I think Hill is also a lock, cash game lock. And this helps you get more touches. With Cook being that price, you get Hill as starting running back at $4,000. And then I actually like Nick Chubb against Jacksonville. They're terrible. I don't know if Chubb is a cash game play. I'm just getting emails from DraftKings. I don't think so on DraftKings he is. I think maybe more of a FanDuel cash game play. So, you want touches here. Who are the guys that are going to get a lot of touches? I like home favorites in these. Robinson's a sneaky play. I don't know if it's a cash game play to me. Of course, Eckler. Him getting activated. Probably, But, he's... I don't know if he's safe in cash games. I want the touches. So, I've really debated this on DraftKings. And I don't play a lot of DraftKings cash games anymore because I know a lot of you just get some optimized lineup from CBS Sportsline. I see in 100-person entries with... single entries, sometimes there's 15 to 20 duplicate lineups, and I just won't play anything with duplicate lineups anymore, and FanDuel seems to have less of that. So Bernard's a good cash game play. It's interesting. I think you can manipulate this. I don't even think you have to play 2 running backs tomorrow. Quarterbacks, cash games, I always like to pay down. I think Bridgewater's good. Cam Newton's pretty good. You want a solid floor. Jared Goff at $6,000. A lot of these prices are kind of out of whack because of when they played those nighttime games. Fitzpatrick now starting at $5,500. Probably be chalk. So those are some of the games. Let's just plug in Fitzpatrick And then for receivers, I really like Cole Beasley. I want a part of this game. So I would go Beasley and Allen. Allen's a lot of money, but I want access to this game. I like the Rams' defense. I'm paying up a little bit there. Tight ends. I think either if you don't go these two, I'm going Ingram against that Bengals. And then this gives you some, not a ton of money. And Cook really sucks a lot of that. Cook and Allen. I think Antonio Brown is someone to look at as well because of the, So there's just some ways to look at the cash game plays. I think for tournaments, a sneaky play would be maybe Taysom Hill. I could see Taysom Hill being low-owned. I think Rivers is a sneaky play. Tournaments, Matt Ryan at 5,900. Derek Carr. Bridgewater against Minnesota. So build some of your stacks there. On FanDuel, 11,000 for Cook. So if you're paying 11,000, that's 11 of your 60. Is he worth paying for? I think he is. I know some say no, but I think you do this, you go to Chubb. Look at that. That's 19 of your 60. But then with Hill, and your defense, which I like to go to the low total game, someone at home. This is going to be an interesting defense to play tomorrow in GPPs. Bills were in that winning lineup a few weeks ago against Seattle. Now, that would be an interesting play. I think the Giants, too. Where are the Giants priced? They probably priced them up. Yeah. I don't see anybody. You look at some of these defenses here. You're going to have the Rams, but they're going to be low ownership on this. The Chiefs, the Giants, the Vikings, the Bills, the Chargers. You look at this hole here. It's probably either you play Miami, New Orleans, but I'm going with the Rams in a cash game. Gives you 6,200 to play with. I'm paying down. I really believe at tight end. I like Beasley this week. Gives you something, and your lineups are not, leaving that quarterback for last. I think we can pay down a quarterback. Go Derek Carr. Robbie Anderson. I like. If I can spell his name. I kind of look at this. I don't know if you go Antonio Brown in cash game. Say you do. And then you got, targets here. A lot of target monsters. Don't have the KC game represented. I think KC's tough to play in cash games for this reason, which I think is pretty evident, is the pricing. So, Mahomes is 9,000. I'm not playing Allaire. A couple of these guys are pretty good tournament plays, but I'm not playing these guys in cash games. I'm not playing Kelsey in a cash game at 8,000. I know he's the best tight end on the slate. It's too much. 6 for 60 and a touchdown is 15 points. That's not even 2 times value. So to me, he's tournament only. Gronk priced up a little bit too. Receivers, Tyreek Hill, and no way in a cash game. I'm not playing any of these guys in cash. Brown is even priced up a little bit. So and this is a good little exercise too for a tournament. Say you do go a Mahomes, Hill. This is going to cost you Kelsey stack, because I think this game could easily have close to a 90 over-under, and you run it back with who? Antonio Brown. Yeah, he's the cheaper of that. And say we go to that Rams defense, who we like. If we can, figure this out. There we go. So, I did this on DraftKings, and I found it harder to fill a lineup out. We can do this exercise here. Again, you get a point per reception. That's the difference, half on FanDuel. Hill's a little lower. And you go to Kelsey. You go to the Rams. You run it back with Brown. And look at that. Your average player remaining is 44.50 left. Here it's about 58.50, which I think is more manageable to do this stack on FanDuel. 58.50 might not seem a lot, but you can make this work. Maybe you go chalk with Hill at running back as one of your running backs. Sometimes it's okay to play the chalk. Now, there's a lot of guys out tomorrow. Keep that in mind. If we go to that Buffalo Chargers game and we like pieces in that game, and in tournaments you want high upside players, Mike Williams is one of those high upside guys. But I think on FanDuel you can play a Beasley in a tournament because John Brown is out, and he's priced at $5,400. I mean, he's had some almost, he looks kind of like a tournament guy. Beasley's a slot receiver, but he's, pretty consistent. But look at, this is like what a lot of tournament receivers do. They're volatile. 1 week they're this, and the next week they're that. That's why some of your tournament lineups are bad. But, you plug him in. All right, you've got a piece of this, and then maybe you do that double stack. Do you do it with one of the running backs? A secondary game stack. Do you do it with one of their running backs? Balaj is now questionable. If he's out, they still have Eckler, Kelly, and Pope. I don't know if I love Eckler, but in a tournament, in that kind of environment, and with the score, the implied total being high, but I might do this even. That double tight end or the secondary stack. I like doing a Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Chargers, Buffalo, because those 4 teams could score the most points combined. Mike Williams. And then it leaves you with your 2 running backs. This might be a pay down week because, if you do this, if you play the Mahomes stack, you're going to have to go down at running back, and it's who do you get that you think is going to produce? Myles Gaskin will be back from Miami. Oh, he's not. Okay, so he's not activated in time. Ahmed is also out. So you get Breida, Patrick Laird, and DeAndre Washington. Would you go with one of them? Well, let's look at the pricing. See, with tournaments, you gotta find these guys because him, and him can win you the tournament. It's they can put you so far in front, but you still need to find someone else. Matt Breida at 4,800 as a favorite. Look at that. Get you back up to 7,100 by playing Breida. And then who's your other starting running back? It's interesting. Maybe we take him out, the Rams, and we go with a less chalkier defense, which is always a strategy in tournaments. Most of the defense that are less chalky are in the winning lineups. Who would be, this would be an interesting defense. They're not great, but they're at home. Boy, it gets us at 7,900. We just miss Josh Jacobs. You know, that's a very interesting tournament lineup right there. All right, so good luck in Week 12. Reach out to me. Make sure you go to 14personnel.com. And once again, thank you for watching my YouTube videos. Make sure to like.